I greet you on my channel through the looking glass. I am a dream meteorologist. Do not rush to release my channel. Everything is fine with my head today. I just want to share with you the results of my research on the theme of the execution of the royal family. I started my investigation with the study of religion. It took many years, but my ability to decipher tarot card layouts using dreams helped me save time. So, studying religion and predictions about a certain kind, family, about what is said in all points of the globe, I came to the Romanov family. And when I started studying everything connected with this family, namely with the execution and what happened in those days, I was very surprised. Namely, I was surprised when I began to study the investigative materials and all the information that today can be obtained from the Internet. She was deeply surprised at how the investigation was conducted. How many facts were ignored. It is surprising that people of high ranks and experienced investigators did this. And after all, a lot of experienced investigators changed in this case, and what amazed me, experienced investigators do not notice such ordinary things. When in the Russian Federation this case of the murder of the royal family was resumed many times and also safely closed, and with each new president it was opened again, and then safely closed, and so on, from president to next president, or from high-ranking official to official, including those who could get there and had the right to access to this information and the right to look for something there known only to him. Because everything was classified as secret. In general, studying these materials, I generally understood only one thing, that all these investigators and those who entrusted them with this investigation were engaged in only searching for the values of the Romanov family and one more suitcase. The rest did not interest them at all. And so each subsequent president tried to close this topic for people, to declare that the bones found in the pit belonged to the Romanov family. So to say, the Romanov family died safely, the work of the Soviet government was successfully completed. And so, in order to close it, this is the whole thing, you need to do a bunch of examinations, which turns out to be generally a flimsy letter, as it turns out. This is the first series of my investigation. And in this and subsequent series one will prove that the bones that are recognized as royal are not. I will partially reveal some of the secrets of history, the history of Soviet power, which is covered in darkness and people are not supposed to know the truth. And I believe that people are not only supposed to, but they are obliged to know this, because this story connected with the royal family, with this murder of the Romanov family. This whole story continues to this day. Because a very cool secret is connected with the Romanov family, which no one will tell you about just because this family has something cool. And this story cannot end. And this secret seeps into the masses only in films, when people, carried away by this idea, make feature films, but today is not about that. I will not tell what is known to many, or you can go on the internet and find out exactly how the Soviet government provided us with information on exactly how the royal family was allegedly shot. I just want to draw your attention to one circumstance in this series today. And so, the authorities provided us with information that it was the royal family that was shot in the Apatiev house, in the amount of 11 people. So in this series, I want to draw your attention to one circumstance. As many people know, the royal family was shot in the Apatiev house along with these 4 people, namely, the life physician E.S. Botkin, life chef I.M. Karitanov, here he is, room girl Demidova, valet colonel A.E. Troop, and how the Soviet authorities presented this particular burial. They identified 2 pits allegedly if you count the 7 people of the family itself. Plus 4 is 11 people. There is still such a mention in the testimonies that supposedly they were going to shoot 12 people, but Tsarevich Alexei had a friend. They released this boy just before the execution, so the Soviet authorities are very compassionate. She took pity on the children. In general, she took pity on the child and let him go in advance so that he would not become a witness, and also, would not become a victim. Then traces of this released child are lost. And now it is generally impossible to find him and prove that he was released. But it is quite possible to prove that he was not lowered, but was saved. But today is not about that. After all, the most important thing is to tell that we are very kind people, and it was we who let our friend Alexei's boy go home, and he was safely saved. Go prove it. What I want to draw attention to was the 2 IW, and they testify. I mean the participants in the murder, and the main participant in the murder is considered Yurovsky. Allegedly, he explains that when they shot the royal family together with these 4 comrades who endured to the end, loaded, wrapped in linen, I mean bed linen, and put in a truck and taken to the forest. And since it was very difficult for them to get there, namely, several times they got muddy in the swamp, got stuck, that they decided to do instead of 1. I don't even mention this story about the mine, it will be a little later, but for now, but let's miss all these details. All this can be found on the internet without me. I emphasize how these 2 burials appeared. They explain that they buried 2 women and Alexei separately under the place where the car was skidding. Then they laid this burial with sleepers, and the rest and all, together with these endured to the end, were buried in a common pit, which was found in 1991. It was found according to Yurovsky's instructions. And this Yurovsky pit was exactly found. And nobody asks the question is why douse the corpses with gasoline to burn? and then give a clear address of the location of this pit. If there were normal investigators, they would understand that the charred corpses are made with the aim that they would not be identified. It is precisely in order that the opened bones should be mistaken for royal ones. It is precisely all the bones that are mutilated in order to give out this mass of bones as the remains of the Romanov family, plus the bones of this Dr. Botkin and this Demidova. Kharitonov and Trupp, who cannot be there for one simple reason. Because these comrades generally ran around Moscow after the execution and celebrated October Day with Lenin in an embrace. They celebrated a successful operation, went to the funeral of their comrades, who died in turn. Zomboland. Comrades dug out, and walked around Moscow. In the summer of 1979, a group of A.N. Avdonin and G.T. Ryabov, using the old maps, information from books, archival materials and memoirs, discovered near Sverdlovsk in the area of the former booth of the railway crossing 184 kilometers in the Piglet log the burial of several people, which, as established, is the burial place of Nicholas II. Alexandra Fyodorovna, their daughters Olga, Tatiana and Anastasia, as well as persons of the royal retinue who were shot July 17, 1918. 4. The remains found, however, were buried back in 1991. In connection with the statement of A.N. Avdonin that he knew the burial place of the royal family, the prosecutor's office of the Sverdlovsk region where excavations were carried out at the same site. Identification work was carried out, which confirmed the belonging of the remains to the family of Nikolai II and those around him. The remains of Tsarevich Alexei and Princess Maria were not found. Materials of the Government Commission for the Study of Issues related to the study and reburial of the remains Russian Emperor Nicholas II and members of his family, published. Criminalist Sergei Nikitin in 1994 performed the reconstruction the appearance of the owners of the found skulls according to the Gerasimov method. And that's what happened. They got such clearly suitable faces for each member of the Romanov family: Nikolai, Alexandra Fedorovna, Olga Nikolaeva, Tatiana Nikolaevna. Anastasia Nikolaevna, especially Anastasia Nikolaevna, should not be present here, since these criminalists who made these casts were not aware that Anastasia Nikolaevna should be in another pit drive. Botkin Valet corpse. The corpse is such a surname. Anna Demidovna Maid. And now I'm wondering, when researchers are investigating this case, never ask such a question. Why is everyone sure that the persons who were considered as enduring to the end were devoted to the Romanov family? They were not bogus, as the Soviet authorities could allow people who were devoted to them, and not substitute people who were precisely Soviet. Let's start with Demidov's maid Anna Demidova. A room girl, as she is also called, simply a maid, In the materials of the criminal case there is precisely 3 photos. These 3 photos here on the screen. Here is one Anna Demidova, the second Anna Demidova and the third Anna Demidova. If you look closely at all these 3 photographs, it is perfectly clear that these are generally 3 different women. What kind of woman was meant by Dimidova is unknown. She is identified as one and, surprisingly, according to the Gerasimov method, it turns out that the examination was so successful that the cast made from the skull from the pit fits any of these women. Or it is made universal, and can be worn by this girl and this woman and this woman. The most interesting thing is that I noticed that none of the researchers of this case did not pay attention to the fact that in the materials of the investigation file in Sokolov's folder there is a photograph where 2 of these women are photographed together in one photograph. In the middle is another comrade Yutkin, also an interesting comrade, but that's not about that now. And these 2 sisters are signed as the Demidoffs, the Demidoff Sisters precisely signed in Sokolov's investigative file. And here they are shown with arrows. Here is one. This is just a photograph of her in her youth, and this is also a woman, a photograph in her youth of this woman, and it turns out that a cast made from the skull should fit both one sister and the second. That is, they joined together and became this one Dimidova. Which ended up in a pit along with the royal remains, and sometimes they went to the parade to Lenin for a walk. Dimidova in the form of 2 ladies. Here they are, 2 sisters, one and the second. Under the arrow is written Anna Stepanovna Demidova. I wonder why no one mentions that there were 2 of these Demidoffs, if you pay attention to the structure of the body, in general. From the photo you can see that this is a tall, powerful lady. This one, on the contrary, is smaller and round. Here it is. You can see how 2 women could become one completely different in design. Even in the portraits you can see that they are 2 different women. What is most interesting is Anna Stepanovna Demidova. A pass is made and a photograph is inserted of a young woman, and in the photo, here she is here in the materials of the Sokolov investigation appointed by Kolchak and signed. Here is E.S. Demidova. F.M. Yutkin, A.S. Demidova. 2 sisters not earlier than 1914, that is, the pass was made precisely by a young woman. See written Anna Stepanovna Demidova made such a pass. A photograph of a young woman in her youth is inserted, in general. Given some points that the Soviet government had access to seals and any similar documents, and could make them at any time and with any date, then this pass could have been made much later. If still, and take into account that Sokolov's file was stolen. I also remember how we were taught at school that Comrade Lenin was a master at forging documents. Here Botkin was also issued a document if you look closely. You can see that the design of women is completely different here. Such a slender, tall woman. This is round and small. Now let's move on to the third version of Anna Demidova. Also included in the materials of the investigative case, this woman is not at all the sister of these Demidoffs. She is Nikolin's wife. But in general it must be taken into account that these persons changed their surnames. Participant in the execution of the royal family. Here she is on vacation and she's with Lenin after the execution at the parade, and there they are doing something there, and this is probably a funeral. Here she is and here is Lenin. That is, this is one of the versions of Lenin and here she is the third version of Anna Demidova. Here she is at the resort, her photo and her photograph, signed Anna Demidova. Faithfully served the family of the last Russian emperor and died with them. Well done. And then I dug him out and walked around Moscow.
Семье последнего российского императора и погибла вместе с ним. Молодец. А потом погибла, откопалась и гуляла по Москве.
Here is her photo and take a closer look too, in general. A different face structure, body shape. Here she is the wife of Nikolin, a participant in the execution of the royal family. Not only a participant in the execution. He also went out in Ukraine in search of the missing two bodies, to put it mildly, in the second pit. So I increased the size. This is how much you can increase because I don't have these films.
Мягко говоря, тело во второй яме. Вот. Я увеличила размеры, но это насколько можно увеличить, потому что у меня же нету этих плен.
This is it. Dimidova is resting. Signed Grigory Nikolin and Yakov Yurovsky in Kislovodsk in 1923.
Яков Юровский, Кисловодске, 1923 год.
This is Yurovsky at the parade. Here is one of the versions of Yurovsky. Here they are standing here. If you take this version of Demidova, then I even had an association with this artist, but this one is just with small eyes, unlike the artist, and here is Demidova. She is in her youth, but here she is more in old age. She reminds me more of Svetlana Kryuchkova. This is Demidova, or rather one of the Demidoff.
Вот мне она больше напоминает Светлану Крючкову. Это Демидова. Вернее, одна из Демидов. Она даже на вырубу похожа. Вот такое вот, сравнить тоже молодость, и она...
She even looks like Virabova. This is also to compare in youth and but more advanced age. Here it is obtained by the Gerasimov method of the face, it is universal, it is worn by all three completely different women. This examination confirmed the authenticity of the machines. Let's move on to another, endured to the end, Dr. Evgeny Sergeyevich Botkin, who also supposedly should be in this pit.
Который также якобы должен находиться в этой яме.
There is also a cast. Here it is, and it is cut out from his pass, and now at the October holiday here
Вырезано из пропуска его. И вот на празднике октября вот он стоит здесь, разговаривает.
he is standing here talking, and here is the second, and this is the corpse surname. Now I will show.
Это труп фамилии. Сейчас я покажу. Вот он тоже.
Here he is, too.
Это был.
This is Botkin, and here it is the same selected, here it is increased by how much I can increase the resin, and here Dr. Botkin is standing on the holiday of Ilyich or October, and here is his wife. Here he is, I compared him with a photograph, here they are Dr. Botkin and his wife.
Праздники Ильича или октября, и его жена стоит. Вот он. Я сравнивала его с фотографией. Вот они стоят.
Here he is, I compared him with a photograph, here they are Dr. Botkin and his wife. Krupskaya Lenin is a version of Lenin.
Это версия.
I will later make a video about versions of Lenin. Here they are in enlarged drive. Botkin himself and his wife dug out, went for a walk on a holiday, then again got there in general. Corpses sometimes walk, attend the holidays of Ilyich stratospheric.
В общем, труп иногда гуляет, посещает праздники Ильича. Страту, как его называют,
As it is called in the church Stratos. As he is called in the church Stratos, the righteous martyr, it
терпец праведный.
It's just that no one knows the secret of Dr. Botkin, which Rasputin knew about.
Распутин. Этот секрет.
Here he is Dr. Botkin among the guards of Nicholas II, and here is Anastasia in my opinion, and here he is, Compare here and here, and here I was comparing his wife standing next to him. Here he is already aged. Here is 1-to-1. I compared different photos. Here I don't think expertise is needed. Everything is visible to the naked eye. Wife at Lenin's party. This is her in her youth on the steamer. Here she is at a more mature age.
Вот один в один. Я сравнивала разные фотографии. Здесь экспертиза, я думаю, не нужна. Видно все невооруженным глазом. Жена на празднике у Ленина. На молодости, на пароходе. Здесь она была. Это уже на параде у Ленина.
Here she is at the parade at Lenin's. Here are more of her photos 1-to-1. Aloysius' corpse also dug out to attend Lenin's feast. Here is enlarged this, and this is an enlarged photo.
Вот он увеличенный, это увеличенная фотография.
This, too, was compared by Botkin, who loved to go to Lenin's parade, not to mention Fanny Kaplan, who also loved to go to Lenin's parade. Fanny Kaplan is believed to be the woman who shot Lenin, allegedly a survivor of the assassination attempt.
Доктор Боткин и труп. Это фамилия у нее такая, которые должны лежать в яме.
Here is the parade of Dr. Botkin and the corpse. This is his last name, which should lie in the pit. I'm not even talking about the rest of the people. I'll make a video about them separately. There are very interesting faces at the parade. Here it is. Who liked, put likes, subscribe to my channel to be continued.